everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to break down some really powerful ideas about changing your mindset, all based on a concept called the 1% metamorphosis. So, yeah, let's just dive right in. So, let me just start by asking you something. Does your mind ever feel like a battlefield? A place where thoughts of doubt and insecurity are just constantly at war with who you want to be? That's the exact idea we're going to tackle today.
Okay, so the source we're looking at starts by pointing out this huge core problem, one that it says keeps us playing small. And it all comes down to this idea of leading from a place of insecurity.
And here's the fundamental idea. For so many of us, our biggest roadblocks aren't out there in the world. They're right here, inside our own heads. It's that internal story we let play on repeat that really holds us back. To make this feel real, the source uses this really potent line. You're leading from insecurity, like Timothy. Now, for context, Timothy is often seen as this younger, kind of timid figure who really needed a push to step into his full power. So it's basically a way of saying you're letting a smaller, less confident version of yourself run the show. So if that's the problem, what's the fix? Well, it doesn't start with trying to fix something that's broken. It all begins with a really simple but profound shift in your thinking. This is what's called the power of renewal.
And this is a total game changer. The source makes it super clear. You are not broken. You're not behind. You are not failing. You're just unrenewed. And what that means is you're in a state of incredible potential. It completely flips the script from shame to massive opportunity.
And this just nails the core belief, right? This isn't about making a few small adjustments here and there. We're talking about a total transformation that starts in your mind. The message is clear. This one single act of renewal, it has the power to change your entire world. All right, so let's get practical. It's one thing to understand an idea, but it's a whole other thing to actually put it into practice. So this next part is all about how you actually train your future self. Now, the source gives this process a fancy name, directed neuroplasticity. I know, it sounds a little bit complicated, but the idea behind it is actually super simple. It's just the intentional act of training your inner life, your thoughts, your beliefs, for the future you actually want to create. So what does this training look like on a daily basis? Well, it gets broken down into this really clear 3-step plan. First, you have to actively speak out your true identity, what's called who God says you are. Second, you have to consciously train your inner world, which means you stop letting those negative thoughts just run the show. And third, by doing those things, you start to build up the mental and spiritual endurance you're going to need for what's next. Now, this whole training process, it eventually leads to a whole new identity. It's about becoming part of what the source calls the 1%. And the whole thing comes down to one single conscious choice. So, what is this 1%? It's got nothing to do with money or status. Nope. According to the source, it's that small group of people who decide to take full, absolute responsibility for what goes on in their own minds. They're the ones who choose to be the boss of their inner world. And I love this slide because it shows the two paths so clearly. You've got the battlefield mindset, which is totally passive, right? It just lets thoughts run wild and accepts the chaos. But then there's the garden mindset. This one is active. It sees the mind as something you have to cultivate, where you intentionally plant good things and pull out the weeds. And to help you make that shift from battlefield to garden, there's a really simple starting point. It's a declaration. It's you telling yourself, I am who God says I am. You're literally speaking your new reality into existence. And honestly, this is the main point that ties everything together. This kind of transformation isn't something that just magically happens to you. Nope. It's an active choice. It's you deciding to be part of that 1% who says, my mind, yeah, that's my responsibility. And finally, the source points out that, this whole journey is way better when you're not doing it alone. So there's an invitation to affirm your own training, to share this idea with someone you think needs to hear it, and to join a whole community of people on the same path. So we're gonna end with the one big question this whole thing leaves us with. It's not about if you can do it, but if you will. After hearing about the problem, the shift, and the solution, will you be the 1% who chooses to renew their mind? Because really, the choice is all yours.